Okay. Gotta share this link now. Good. We're starting to get some people. This is awesome. 7 people and counting. 9. As soon as we get to 15, I'll start talking. There's 10. I've been monkeying around with it for a while. And now it looks like we finally have figured it out. 14, we're almost good to go. Oh, sweet. We got our first comments too. 17. All right. It's time to start. Well, I'm happy to be doing this just because it seemed like a good way to connect with everybody. I know that on Twitter stuff sometimes is a little too parsed out and a little too fragmented, so stuff often comes out of context, and this seems like an easier way to talk about the 49ers and just life in general now that we have this opportunity, especially since there seems to be a lot less social interaction these days. And what better time to start than right now with so much going on with the 49ers. I just kind of want to answer the questions that come across. I have an article being edited right now about Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Jimmy Garoppolo, all that crazy stuff that's going on with the 49ers. Looks like they want to run with 2 quarterbacks or 2 legitimate starting quarterbacks in 2021. That's obviously a thing that this franchise has done in the past. So if that ends up happening, it will give us plenty to write about here, especially over the 2021 season. But, those of you who listen to me on the radio or watch some of my writing, you know that there are no absolutes in the NFL. So I don't think that it's 100% guaranteed that does happen. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is a coveted talent by at least one other team in the NFL. That's obviously the Patriots, and that can make some things change. So we'll see if it does happen, but I'll tell you what, Jimmy Garoppolo and whoever the 49ers draft on the same roster in 2021 would be crazy to cover, especially if they're both capable of playing well, which we know Garoppolo's capable of playing well when he's healthy. And if the rookie that the 49ers pick, if they nail that pick and it's the right guy, well, then I think that there could be some real drama happening, especially if the team starts winning in 2021. And that's all that you can ask for, I think, as a writer and those of you who are watching as fans. Anyway, I'm going to look through some of these questions right now. This is my first time doing this, so be patient with me here. We'll start here at the top. Do you have a favorite thing to do or place to visit in Fresno? Well, I'm spending most of my time these days up in Shaver Lake, which is above Fresno, about 50 minutes to an hour. That's where I'm at right now at the place in Shaver Lake. I like it here a lot better than I do down in Fresno. I could say that because I'm from the Fresno area down near Visalia. I went to Mount Whitney High School, which is actually where Kevin Costner went for a year. And we were all joking about draft day on Twitter yesterday. My favorite thing to do in Fresno is go to Doghouse Grill. That's right there near Fresno State's campus, and get the tri-tip sandwich. Then you could go to Sam's Italian Market and Deli and buy their pizza dough and all those fresh Italian ingredients, prosciutto, the mozzarella, all this and all that. And it's awesome because I love grilling pizzas out here on the patio up in Shaver Lake. So that and Rena's Meat Market, they have these garlic infused burger patties that I like grilling. So that's awesome. The ice cold water swimming is going well. I'm moving on to the next question. I just went today before the press conference. A few of you hate Twitter. Twitter, I mean, it's positive and it's negative. There's some bad stuff and there's some good stuff. If we could just accentuate the positives, I think it'll be fine. Let's move on here. Where would I rank Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFL quarterback hierarchy? Top 15? It's tricky. I think when Jimmy's healthy, he could be a top 10 guy. I think all the metrics, all the numbers, I think the film supports that. The problem is that he's only been healthy for, I think, 30 out of 56 potential starts since taking over the 49ers quarterback job in 2017. And availability is the best availability. It really is. So when you factor that in right now, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo is top 15. The problem is that you're dealing with potential and you're dealing with reality. And there is substance to both. You have to consider potential in any quarterback acquisition or retention, right? The reason that you're drafting somebody or potentially drafting somebody at number 3 is because you believe in their potential. They haven't proven it yet, but you're still taking a huge chance on them, investing a lot of capital in that situation at number 3. Well, it's the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch emphasized this today. I think they believe that he's a top 10 talent if he could stay healthy and develop into that type of talent, but they just can't only count on that potential, which is the reason why I think the initial plans are to keep Garoppolo on the roster in 2021, because they could still milk that ability, right? That potential ability. But in the long term, for protecting the organization, I think, as John Lynch said today, maybe it was Kyle Shanahan who used those exact words, they have to make an insulation at that position, not only for the health purposes, but also for the cap purposes moving forward. So I think it's a matter of potential and reality, and the 49ers are in a tricky situation where they have to balance both. And I think they can balance both by having 2 guys on the roster. They've fit it in this year. They've created enough cap space to make it possible to have Jimmy Garoppolo and the number 3 pick on the roster. What do I think about Jalen Hurd's potential to be wide receiver 3? Again, that's a potential thing, right? If he's healthy, he's not only wide receiver 3, he's somebody that could take handoffs like he did in the SEC. I mean, he's a power back at Tennessee, a receiver at Baylor. Jalen Hurd can really do it all. If he's healthy, he is more than a wide receiver 3. He's kind of an ultimate Shanahan weapon for the offense, one of those versatile guys that can do everything. Hello, David. My question is, besides QB, what is a huge need for the 49ers? I mean, the biggest one, I think, and people disagree with me a lot on this all the time. I think that, but I think it's clear. I think they need to stack offensive linemen on this team. I don't think you could have a Super Bowl contender with just 5 quality offensive linemen. I think you need to have 6, preferably 7, maybe even 8. The 49ers didn't have 8 quality offensive linemen last year. I don't know if they even had 5 last year. You definitely have to have 5. That starting front line has to be filled with quality bodies. I think the 49ers are there at this point. But you need to have that depth, because especially with these injuries that we're seeing in the NFL, with the 49ers in particular right now, you're going to have that plug and play capability along the offensive line. If anybody watched the Super Bowl, they saw how important having a deep offensive line is. The Chiefs were completely screwed by their injuries at the tackle positions. Guess who wasn't screwed by injuries at the tackle positions? The 2019 49ers. They absorbed losses to both Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey and kept on winning, even with Dan Brunskill and Justin School at tackle. And I think the main key to all of that was the fact that they had a 6th and a 7th quality offensive lineman in Dan Brunskill, who's now matured into a starter at right guard, making only $850,000 for this team, which is one of the best bargains in the NFL. I think they need more, though, because with Dan Brunskill being that starter at right guard, who's the 6th, who's the 7th offensive lineman now for the 49ers? I know you have Alex Mack. I know that you have Mike McGlinchey at right tackle, Brunskill at right guard, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, and obviously Trent Williams at left tackle. But you need more to make it through the rigors of what's going to be now a 17-game NFL season. So if you're a true Super Bowl contender, to me, you look at the quality of the 6th and 7th offensive linemen. The 2019 49ers made it in large part because Dan Brunskill was that 6 or 7 guy that really helped them stay afloat during some hard times in the season. I'm going to skip forward to some questions a little bit later on. I can't go forever today because I'm hungry after writing. Article will be coming out in a little bit on The Athletic. Hope that, by the way, everybody needs to take advantage of that $1 a month deal. I'll tweet out the article. You could sign up. That deal's still going to be available for a little bit longer. Join the community on there. We're having a lot of fun with this crazy 49ers offseason. Does Dee Ford ever play again? I asked John Lynch that today based on our reporting last week. Dee Ford is very optimistic that he'll play again. He's running at the team facility. I think John repeated what we had reported as far as what Dee Ford is doing at the team facility. He's back to running. The back is doing a little bit better. But the 49ers are not as publicly confident as our reporting indicated that Dee Ford is confident last week, if that makes sense. So I think the 49ers are wading into this with this will be found money if it works out approach. But I think personally that Dee Ford doesn't want to go down as a bust. I think that there's some pride involved here. And the 49ers already have gotten the massive cap savings thanks to how he restructured the contract. That's a win for them already. It would just be icing on the cake if they can get some quality Bravo unit snaps for him moving forward. It's never happened, but can you see a quarterback making the Super Bowl with the 49ers roster? It depends on who the quarterback is and who the rookie is. And, even Trevor Lawrence is not a guarantee to be good in the NFL. That's the biggest misconception amongst all of this, is this idea that you have Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. I think those are the 3 that people most frequently associate with a sure thing. There is no sure thing. It's the NFL. I mean, Ryan Leaf was a sure thing, and then he wasn't as soon as he was pick number 2. There's so many examples of a guy just not panning out right away. Does that mean that the 49ers shouldn't have taken this risk? No, that doesn't mean that. That you have to take risks to build yourself into a sustainable long-term franchise, especially at the quarterback position. You got to roll the dice at some point because you want to maintain that great roster with a cap-controlled quarterback for at least 4 years, and then see if he could become something even greater, like a Patrick Mahomes or maybe even a Josh Allen. So you have to take the risk, but that doesn't mean that it's not a risk, right? Too often we deal with this dichotomy, one extreme or the other. Oh, they either have to go all in for a quarterback or they don't. They need to stick with what they have. I honestly think that the 49ers could play the best of both worlds, and that's exactly what they'll be doing if Jimmy Garoppolo stays on this roster in 2021 and they do draft the rookie. So it just depends on the rookie if they can make the Super Bowl with him playing. Is it going to be a guy that bucks the trend of the past? Maybe it can be. But I think it's more likely that Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback of this team and they return to the Super Bowl with him because they've already done it under those parameters. The future is unwritten, though, which makes this all so exciting. And I think that right now 49ers are thinking short-term Garoppolo, long-term rookie. Colton McKivitz, where do you see him playing at permanently? McKivitz is tough. He's going to have to be a lot better than he was in 2021. I know that there was a lot of positional transition with him, tackle, guard. What is he going to be? I know he was a tackle in college. and then guard with the 49ers. But he gave up a lot of pressure, whiffed on some run blocks. And if McKivitz is going to be that 6th or 7th quality offensive lineman that I think any Super Bowl contender needs, he's going to be a lot better than he was in his rookie season. At the end of the day, I think he's a little undersized to be a dominant NFL tackle. I think the 49ers really want him to be good at guard. And to be honest, that might be where the biggest deficiency on this team potentially is right now, at that right guard spot. So maybe McKivitz can make a move there here in year 2. Who does the best backflips on this team? Well, I think the only one player I'm that familiar with doing consistent backflips is Richie James. So I'm going to have to give it to Richie James. Can Armstead get back to his 2019 level of production? Absolutely. I think Eric Armstead took a lot of unnecessary heat last year. Eric Armstead is who Eric Armstead is, and that's a player who's versatile on the defensive line, who benefited big time, and nobody's lying about this, right? I mean, this is no secret. He benefited big time from Nick Bosa's presence and from Dee Ford's presence, and obviously from DeForest Buckner's presence in 2019. So it's one of those situations where when you lose DeForest Buckner, you lose Nick Bosa, and you lose Dee Ford, of course Armstead's numbers are not going to be as good as they were in 2020, or not going to be as good as they were in 2019 in 2020. I think the 49ers defensive line is lined up to be reloaded, maybe not to the extent that it was in 2019, but it's going to look a whole lot deeper than it was in 2020 when we enter this 2021 season. And because of that, I think you're going to see more production from Eric Armstead. I don't think that it was lacking, he's lacking in effort or anything like that in 2020. I think it's just the reality of the situation. When you're playing next to a bunch of Pro Bowlers, you're going to be more likely to put up 10 sacks, right? So we'll see what Samson Ebukam brings to the table. We'll see what Zach Kerr, that new defensive tackle, brings to the table. I think retaining DJ Jones was a nice, big, pleasant surprise for the 49ers, but I mean, the central player of that defense, I mean, you could say it's Fred Warner. Obviously, he has a huge impact, but the big difference maker from 2018 to 2019 was Nick Bosa. And then if you want to say there were two big difference makers, it was when they had those bookending edge rushers with Bosa and Nick Ford coming with Nick Bosa and Dee Ford coming off the edges. Look here for some more. People have asked me what my gut pick for the number three pick is, and I just one of these people. I try to be really careful. I try not to speculate because I honestly don't know what the 49ers are going to do. I like to talk to people who know about quarterback play and offensive line play a lot more or better than me before I make my prediction. Obviously, I don't think Shanahan or Lynch divulged any real hints today. So it's one of those situations where I'll come out with a prediction. Give me 2 or 3 weeks. Can we expect more from Sanu this year versus last year? Yeah, I think Mohamed Sanu was dealing with a bit of an ankle issue that goes back to his season with the Patriots in 2019 last year. That being said, once a player starts to hit those injury issues on the wrong side of 30, that's where Mohamed Sanu is right now. It's one of those things that usually doesn't turn back around in a positive direction. So I wouldn't necessarily expect too much from Mohamed Sanu on the field. I would treat him as an off-season signing that helps shepherd whoever the 49ers draft, and even Brandon Ayuk, since he's still young and he likes Mohamed Sanu, further into the fold. It's another found money situation. The more that Mohamed Sanu can give the 49ers on the field, that's just something that the 49ers, I don't think, initially anticipated with the signing. I think this is a veteran presence signing to begin with. Anything beyond that is dessert. I'll check my text here. I'm going to see if my article's out really quick here before I answer any of the next questions. The article is about the 2 phone calls that Kyle Shanahan And John Lynch placed a Jimmy Garoppolo on Friday after the trade. It's out. I am about to tweet it out right now. I'm very bad at multitasking, but if you guys all get on Twitter, or I'll drop the link here in YouTube Live, but I have to put the link there. Oops. Give me 1 second here. Can an angry Jimmy Garoppolo benefit the 49ers in 2021? Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch think so. Behind their 2 Friday phone calls to the QB. Okay, it's tweeted. Give you guys the link right here. There. Remember, we still have a few more days. I don't know how long exactly, but if you click on that link, I promise you that there is a lot of good stuff at The Athletic, and it's $1 a month right now. Literally, you buy a cup of coffee every day for how much does a cup of coffee cost now? Like $6, $5. I think I bought one for like $5 today. Rip off, I know, but it's $1 a month for The Athletic. So check out the link. That's the latest article on Garoppolo, Lynch, and Shanahan. I thought it was, interesting just to hear how open Kyle Shanahan was about that whole dynamic, about, Jimmy Garoppolo being mad on the phone, but that he enjoyed that he thinks that Jimmy Garoppolo is a little bit better when he's angry. I mean, you talk to Steve Young and Joe Montana, especially Steve, about how Bill Walsh ran the 49ers quarterback controversy in the late 80s. And it's just wild when you read about some of that stuff. And, I think some of it psychologically can apply to this potential situation that the 49ers have. Bill Walsh rubbed Joe Montana and Steve Young against each other in that room. I mean, he angered them. Neither guy was happy, but both of those quarterbacks, years after the fact, acknowledged that it brought out the best in both of them. And I think that's just, nobody's saying that the 49ers quarterback room of Jimmy Garoppolo and Justin Fields or whoever it's going to be is going to be the next coming of Montana and Young. But this is just something for anybody who's played sports. We all know that competition, especially intra-team competition, one of my best friends I swam with, and we were just at each other's necks with the competition at all times, and it was stressful, and it just made you uncomfortable, and it gave you anxiety. But I mean, we both recognize that it brought out the best in us. I mean, I perform better because of somebody being next to me that, wanted to kick my ass every day. And I think that in an ideal world on a football team, you want that at every single position. You want it amongst the defensive linemen. You want them going at each other's throats in practice every day. You want it amongst your offensive linemen. You want it in your linebacker core and your secondary. Why wouldn't you want to have it at quarterback? And that's what Bill Walsh did. That's what Bill Belichick did. I don't know if Andy Reid had that dynamic with Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith. I think it was more understood that, Alex Smith was going to be on his way out and Mahomes would take over the next year. But there's still a sense of competition in that quarterback room in all of these situations when you have at least two capable bodies, two guys who are capable of eventually starting. That makes everybody better. So I think that's what I wrote about today. Check out the link. It's $1 a month. I promise you, you will not be disappointed there. We have a lot of good stuff up there. And you could get involved on the roster builder too. I'm going to be putting out another one of those. You could literally build a 453-man roster with a spreadsheet, just trying to make stuff more interactive for everybody as this year progresses. Anyway, I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to answer two more. You guys can recommend where I go eat today, and we'll end it there because we're coming up on 30 minutes. This went by really quick. Do you see Fred Warner getting extended this season? I think Fred Warner is going to be extended this offseason. I think he was going to want his money now. They have plenty of money to do it. I mean, they just budgeted the hell out of this offseason. It was really impressive. I'm going to write more about that this week with how Parag Marathe and the whole finance team. I mean, I asked John Lynch about it today, and he just went off, complimenting the job that the front office did to make this possible. Just a ton of some backloaded contracts. They used those veteran salary exceptions. They took advantage of the softer market. It is remarkable that the 49ers had this cap crunch and all these pending free agents. They brought back all these players and are still sitting there with enough room to afford Jimmy Garoppolo, the number 3 overall pick, and also afford an extension, a backloaded extension for Fred Warner. So I think that's going to be on the offseason business for 2021. And I think that it's going to look a little bit like George Kittle's extension, maybe worth a tiny bit more because the linebacker market's more valuable, but maybe similar timing as George Kittle's extension as last year. I'm not related to Michael Lombardi. We joke about that sometimes, though. I do have a cousin named Michael, but it's not Michael Lombardi. No, I don't think there's issues with the team being divided. Again, look back at the historical 49ers. Steve Young and Joe Montana, that was the biggest soap opera of all time, and it didn't divide the team. Competition makes men better. If you don't want a guy on your 53-man roster if you can't handle competition, this is a violent sport. You want that alpha male who embraces competition on the team. So I think that pitting anybody at any position, including quarterback, against a teammate in offseason competition, that should only strengthen the bond of the team. It's either going to strengthen the bond of the team by making both players better or by chasing one of those players out. I'm old school in that way, and I mean, just listen to what Shanahan and Lynch said today. Sounds like they're old school in that way too. Go get some barbecue. Maybe I'll go do that. I could grill out here. I'll show you guys the patio one of these days. One more. Bigger role for Dwelly this coming year, or is the Jordan Reed door still open? I think the Jordan Reed door is still open. They can get him on one of those veteran salary exceptions if he stays out there. They paid Dwelly as if he might have a bigger role. He got a signing bonus, I think, of like $400,000, I think. Anytime a guy gets a signing bonus that big, with some guaranteed money there. I mean, it's not huge in Trent Williams terms, but, just for a more of a bubble guy like Dwelly, give him a $400,000 signing bonus. That means that you're planning on him having a role. I mean, don't discount the possibility of them drafting a tight end that they really like or bringing another guy to really make a dual threat with Kittle. And maybe that ends up being Jordan Reed again, a flyer on him if nobody else picks him up. But they like Dwelly for the dirty work that he does behind the scenes. He's a versatile player that knows the scheme, and they gave him that nice little bonus. Anyway, we're coming up on 28 minutes. That's going to be enough for now. We got to work into this. My goal is to make these happen every day. So retweet the link. I'm going to put it up on the internet, get it out there, let people know I'm doing these, and they'll become more polished as time goes by. But anyway, the link to the article is there, the one that I just wrote. Check out The Athletic, sign up through that link. It's about Garoppolo, Shanahan, John Lynch, and the 2 phone calls. It's still $1 a month, so I hope that you guys all check that out. And everybody have a good dinner. Thanks for joining today, and I'll try to answer more of the questions next time. Take care.